This email is from a woman who's been married. So she's been married for a number of years, and she said for the first half of their marriage, they hadn't read the Love and Respect book, and then she discovered the Love and Respect book, and she was like, wow, it transformed the way I treated my husband, and it has made our marriage so much better. But at the same time, she just said there's certain things. She's like, he's a good father, he's really funny, and I feel like I have more than I could ask for in some regards, but she's like, he really does struggle kind of meeting the needs that I have. Like, she's like, you know, if I say I love you, he'll be like, I love you too, you know, and just mumble. And she's like, am I being unrealistic? And how, she goes, I finally broke down at one point and was like, I need these things. I need you to meet me emotionally. I need you to be affectionate. And he kind of had a wake-up call. And she said for a few weeks things changed, but now it's kind of gone back to how it was. And she doesn't want to keep acting immaturely and having these outbursts, but that kind of gave her what she needed for a little bit. So what would you say to her, giving her advice on how to...
Well, what she's sharing is not atypical. I mean, this is the emotional needs that a woman have is greater than most men, generally speaking. And so there's always this discrepancy. There's always this sense she's wanting a little bit more reassurance, maybe a little bit more communication, a little bit more affection, a little bit more I love you without me having initiated. So that's not atypical. And that's where a woman then has to come to this realization. Am I trying to find all of my emotional needs being met with my husband? I mean, Mom talks about early on when she read a book about a wife whose husband was killed during their honeymoon.
Yeah.
And we talked about the fact, well, what if I were to die? Now, what are you going to do? And
Yeah.
that really caused Mom to realize she's got to depend upon Christ. She's got to have friendships with other people. If she looks solely to me to meet all of her emotional needs, I'm going to fail her.
Yeah.
Even I, who know a lot about communication, I'm not a female. I don't process things that same way.
Yeah.
So she has to decide, is this a good-willed husband, a good man who would die for her, and does she have unrealistic expectations? At the same time, if those expectations are realistic, she's got to define those better. Women intuitively know what they want, but they don't necessarily know how to state it, or they don't want to state it because then you're telling them what to do. And so she's got to bring definition. The mere fact that there was this wake-up call for him says he's a good-willed man, he's trying, but he's going to drift away because it's not within his nature to do that all the time. He's probably been this way since first grade. He didn't really need his mother's hugs. He's not that type of person.
Well, so you tell women, you say, you know, or because you do that voice of a woman who's like, he should know what I'm feeling without me having to say it.
Yes.
But what you're just saying is just make it simple, because they do, like when she reacted, he tried for a little bit.
Exactly.
But she may, for the rest of their life, have to say, hey, I need a date once a month, or I need this, or I need that.
That's right. And that robs some women of the joy of that.
Yeah.
Because then she reads into that, if I have to tell him, then he's doing it because I've told him, not because it's sincere. And so the things he's failed to do causes her to wonder, does he really care about me as much as I care about him? And then if I tell him what to do, you're right back where you were again.
Yeah.
But the best way to go is to coach a good-willed man on what you need. Just as he's making hints about his sexual needs or other things, we need to, you know, she may not, with 5 kids or whatever, have this need for sexual intimacy that night, but he has that expectation, so somehow he lets it be known that maybe he has that. Does she feel that somehow, you know, that that's inappropriate? You know, she could. I think what we have to do is do this dance by giving the other some information, lovingly and respectfully, and letting them act on it. And I would say in this case, she's probably married to a good-willed man who just needs that information. At the same time, she may need to lower expectations in some areas and sit down with, you know, a godly, wise person and maybe sort through what are the must-haves, what are the would be nice to have, and try to figure out those core issues and let him know this is really meaningful to me. Just like Mom needed that 15 minutes every night of just talking about her day.
Yeah.
I didn't have a need to talk about the day. It just reminded me how bad it was. I wanted to become frivolous. I wanted to disengage. But Mom needed to talk.
Good. Thank you.
On the next Ask Joy, Walter gives Joy the warm and fuzzy shoulder.
Why don't you read? Can you read a little bit? Can you read? You want to read standing up? So I have to do all the reading? No, I will read. I'll read. I'll keep reading. Because you know, they say in here, whoever's the mature one moves first. Yep, whoever's the mature one moves first. Lehrt die Bibel die Gegensteinen unter Dünung, weil Christlich, our Frauen fühlen sich bei dem Thema Haupte der aller Familie.